What's going on, everybody? Welcome into College Football Now. My name is Joey Peterson. He is Will Ortner, and we are live for Week 3 of our College Football Playoff rankings. And this time, for the first time since these have started, there's a little bit of a shakeup in the top 5. Cannot wait to see who moves into the top 5, where Alabama moves down to, and what all the committee is going to decide to do with those top 10 teams. We are so glad you are with us, and while you're rolling in, sound off down below in the comment section. Shout out your favorite team. We'll start giving shout outs to all of you guys. And Will, it was an exciting weekend of college football.
Yes, sir.
We almost had 2 top 5 teams lose. Of course, A&M made the best comeback literally in SEC history, but Alabama losing to the Oklahoma Sooners, I necessarily didn't think that was going to happen. Where do you think they fall to?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'd be very impressed with the comeback in Texas A&M, and I don't mean to take this away from you, but I like trivia, and I found out a nice little piece of trivia. Before Saturday, what was the largest comeback that Texas A&M had in the history of that program?
I'm throwing it back to the 50s.
Well, my understanding of it is it's Johnny Football back in the old Chick-fil-A Bowl.
Was that against Duke?
Yes, sir.
There we go.
Yes, sir. One of the best games that I really get to remember watching. I'll tell you right now, I cannot wait to see all the movement, how everything comes about. I think personally that Alabama does drop. They're going to stay inside of the playoff, but they're going to be like that last team in. And then when you look at how far up does Oklahoma go, I was getting a little upset with you and our Boomer Sooner, the great Sam Brown. I don't know that they get above Oregon. Okay. I know that the committee doesn't love Oregon. I don't know that they should be above Oregon.
We'll see how it shakes out. They got a big win on the road in Tuscaloosa nonetheless. Oklahoma, back-to-back road wins against top SEC teams. Really impressive what Brent Venables has been doing. Let's get down to the comment section. Speaking of Oklahoma, shout out to Jabriel Gaming. We got Jack down there in the chat. Time Man, as always, shouting out the Ohio State Buckeyes. Jack shouting out the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We got Kierian Bugs shouting out the Michigan Wolverines. Matthew's here for Georgia. Time Man saying OSU going back-to-back. I've got a feeling they're still going to be the number 1 team in the country after tonight. Eli MCC saying, isn't this like the 3rd CFP ranking we've got this week? No, it's the 3rd one we've gotten since they started, but you've had the AP. Is the coaches poll, are those still coming out on a weekly basis?
They're still putting out the coaches poll, I believe.
So, yeah, this technically will be the 3rd ranking we've got this week, but at this point in the season, this is the only one that matters. There have been some changes from last year to this one. If you're just kind of now checking in, if you've checked out of college football, this is what you've missed. It's the 2nd year of that 12-team expanded playoff. Seeds 1 through 4, they're not going to the highest conference champions anymore like last year. It's just simply the 4 highest-ranked teams. Seeds 5 through 8 then will play at home in the first round, and then one group of 5 team is guaranteed a spot in that 12-team playoff. This has been the debate for pretty much the last 3 weeks, and each team has showed a reason why they might be the answer. Who do you think, Will, is the best team in college football? Is it still the Ohio State Buckeyes, or have the Hoosiers or Aggies done anything over the past couple of weeks to make you think it could be them?
Well, I think going into last week, it was a fair argument to be made for all 3 teams. You could have looked at Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M, and I think you would have had a legit argument for, hey, why would each one be number 1? I mean, I think myself included here, I was talking about the Aggies as potentially being that number 1 seed, definitely talking about them being that number 2 seed. But right now, after this last week's performance, we saw Indiana go against a Penn State team 2 weeks ago, and they got taken down to the wire, found a way to get the victory, but still were taken down to the wire against a subpar team. Texas A&M this last week, a subpar South Carolina team. They get taken down to the wire. I mean, shoot, if South Carolina could run the football at all, or if they could stop Marcel Reed at all in that second half.
Or
block. Let's throw in tackle there as well. Maybe we just let Nick Harbor run wild as much as possible, South Carolina. Maybe that would be a good idea. At this point, you've seen both Indiana and Texas A&M go toe-to-toe and play basically bar for bar with a team that isn't up to their caliber, isn't up to snuff with them, and they let them be close into a game. Ohio State, no one's played them close.
Yeah.
No one's played them close at all. And at this point, I still feel like they're maybe going at 85%, maybe 90%. I think there's still some more left in the tank for the Buckeyes. I think they're the number one team, and it's kind of them all by themselves.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Something to monitor, Jeremiah Smith, a little banged up after the last couple of weeks, so we'll keep an eye out on that. Ohio State will take on Purdue this weekend. Indiana is on a bye, and Texas A&M will be taking on Samford. So there's real big reason to believe that every single one of those teams is going to remain in their spots that they are tonight when we're doing this again next week. Speaking of next week, if we're still here next week, we'll be here because of our great friends over at Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Marcel Reed's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. You can follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineup after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the chat and description of today's stream. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. So like we mentioned earlier, we saw a top 5 team get taken down for the first time in a while. Obviously, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, they all got their wins. Alabama, they lost to Oklahoma. Georgia, very impressive and convincing win at home against the Texas Longhorns. When we talk about OU taking down Alabama, is this something you're surprised in seeing from the Oklahoma Sooners over the last couple of weeks?
I would say pre-John Mateer getting hurt, no, of course not.
Yeah.
When John Mateer was at 100% health, not having to deal with anything with his throwing hand, I thought this Oklahoma team had a chance of maybe not going undefeated in SEC play, but they were definitely a team when you have a Venables defense the way that they have, the star quarterback, man, that's a team that maybe only loses one game even with that Sooner schedule being so difficult. He gets hurt, the fingers, not doing what he needs it to do, and all of a sudden, it's like, well, it's probably going to be next year. Mateer will come back. Venables will make sure that defense is locked and loaded because he always has a great defense. And next year will be the year for Oklahoma. Then they defy all odds. They get a victory in Alabama. Massive victory, too, against Kalen DeBoer. And I think at this point, you probably are going to pencil them into the playoff. I think they take care of business in their last 2 games. I shouldn't say that I'm surprised by the victory, but I kind of am.
Yeah, their last 2 ball games against Missouri and against LSU, 2 teams that in the beginning of the season you said, man, what a crazy stretch down the road, Alabama, Missouri, LSU. Now where we sit in the middle of November, those games looking a lot easier. Big thing to note with Oklahoma, 6 turnovers forced in their last 2 ball games.
Yep.
Big wins, a lot of that because of that defense. Rounding out the top 10, Texas Tech got a very convincing win against Central Florida. Ole Miss beat Florida, but it was a little bit closer than I think a lot of people anticipated, especially for a game that was played at home. Oregon dealt with Minnesota. Another, hyped up game between Notre Dame and a ranked opponent, and another hyped up game that kind of falls flat because the Fighting Irish just do what kind of everybody should expect them to do going into that one. They take down Pitt 37-15. And the second top 10 team that took a loss, of course, was the Texas Longhorns, 35-10 at Georgia. And man, Kirby Smart and that Georgia team, it feels like from where they're playing and how they're playing right now to where they were in late September, even early October, it feels like 2 different teams.
Well, isn't this just what Kirby Smart does? As the year gets going, he gets better and better and better. And at this point, if you're not the Crimson Tide, if you're not Alabama, as long as he has his starting quarterback, I'm pretty much going to assume that the Georgia Bulldogs are going to be in at least a dogfight of a game. The only real losses that Kirby Smart has again, for the most part, that's a big generalization, is Alabama. If you're not Alabama, he's probably going to go in and take your lunch money. He's going to beat you up pretty good. And I think that Stockton is turning into a serviceable quarterback for Georgia. He reads the defense well. He takes what they give to him. I don't know if this Georgia team is going to be good enough to win a national championship, but they're certainly a team that's going to be good enough to get into the playoffs and probably win a game or two.
Yeah, I think Gunnar Stockton reminds me a lot of Jalen Hurts when he was at Alabama.
Fair.
He's never going to just absolutely dice you up with precision and accuracy, but he'll make the throws when he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
He's a winner, and he's also can hurt you with his legs as well. Gunnar Stockton's impressed me a lot this year so far, and like Kirby Smart has said, look, we're a team that's just hard to kill. Texas Longhorns could not kill them. Last week's college football playoff rankings, they looked like this, if you're wondering. Cincinnati at 25, USF at 24, but they lost a big one this past weekend.
Huge game.
To Navy. They will fall out of the top 25, and their season, in terms of chances to make the playoffs, pretty much ended on Saturday. Tennessee at 23. Massive win for the Volunteers over the New Mexico State Aggies. Pittsburgh at 22. Iowa 21. Then you get a run of a couple ACC teams, Louisville, Virginia. Then you find Michigan and USC at 18 and 17, both with wins from this past weekend. USC is very impressive given the circumstances at Iowa. Georgia Tech's at 16. You find Miami at 15, Vanderbilt 14, Utah, BYU, Oklahoma, who's almost guaranteed to be in the top 10 this upcoming playoff rankings. Then you'll find Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, and then all the red teams rounding out the top 5, Georgia, Bama, A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State. And like we talked about earlier, gonna see your first shakeup in that top 5 with Alabama losing. Who jumps into it? Well, we're gonna find out in just a little bit. If you love college football, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Will, do you love college football?
Not only do I love college football, I want to marry college football. They won't let me do it, though. It's something about the state of Texas and marriages. For whatever reason, when I tried to file for a marriage license, they said no.
Well, I've been there. I'm from here, so I get exactly what you're saying. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. We got 138 people currently watching this video. We got 26 likes. Jack, we brought you on to talk ratios last week. We're going to bring on our ratio expert, Jack. Thoughts on the like ratio right now?
Bad.
Okay. He said bad. And
not good.
I kind of agree with him. We're at 26 with 135. Where do we need to get, Jack? At least 50?
I mean, I'd say probably 60.
Okay.
That gets us close to a 20% like ratio.
50%, I think we need.
50%?
Yeah.
All right. I'm in shambles today. And we're about to talk about why I'm in shambles. But 60, 65 gets us to a 50% like ratio-ish.
Let's do it.
So let's get to 65 likes.
Okay, let's get it. It is up to you guys. We've already done all that we can. If you want to know why Jack is in shambles, it's because his alma mater, they might be going through some changes. It's not confirmed. It's just
Rumors.
widely thought of to be the truth.
Believed.
Pete Nakos with a big report this weekend. And Jack, not very happy behind his the producer computer with his Arizona State football hoodie on. It's hilarious. I was talking to Harrison about this, and a lot of people saying, that report's fake. That's happened before with On Three with Pete Nakos, and then it ends up being real. I think the most recent example I can think of is when he reported the thing about Nico Iamaleava, and then Nico's dad comes out on Twitter, calls him bitch Nakos, and then like a day later, Nico transfers. So, Jack? Okay. Fake news. That's where Jack's going with it. Make sure you guys are keep hitting that thumbs up button, liking today's video. We are at 35 likes. We need to get to 60. Jack, I think your microphone might still be on, my friend. We just need 26 more people to hit that thumbs up button out of the 135 of you guys. We're going to ask you this question right now. We're also going to ask you in a second. Where do you think Sam Leavitt is going to play in 2026? What we're about to do for you guys, we're going to list 10 transfer portal destinations and possibilities for Sam Leavitt, where he might play football. Will, did the news surprise you today about him entering the transfer portal?
Yeah, 100%. I think that there are two news stories going on right now over at ASU that honestly are shocking to me. Maybe it's because I'm a West Coast guy. Maybe it's because I'm buying into Coach Dillingham and what he's been preaching at ASU, wanting to build it with Arizona type of guys that are from that area. Now, not only is Sam Leavitt being linked to potentially be leaving, but Kenny Dillingham as well. They're saying, at least according to the Vegas odds, that he could be the next coach over at LSU. It does not shock me, it does shock me that, one, he could potentially leave, but it would shock me that if Dillingham left, that Sam Leavitt could be leaving too.
Let's hear from our Sun Devil correspondent.
We were so close to great. We were this close to
Only if they leave.
greatness. And we're going to flush it all down the toilet. What are we doing here?
Only if they leave.
It's been a hard day for Jack Lotter, right? Not only does he wake up and see Kenny Dillingham being the betting odds favorite to be LSU's next head coach, but then like hours later, Sam Leavitt, portal. Bad day to be a Arizona State Sun Devil. Obviously, portal doesn't open up officially until January 2nd, so we got time to make things right.
Let me just say this too. I came in before, so I didn't know about the Dillingham stuff until right now, so thank you for that.
Oh, you didn't see that?
Oh,
no, I didn't see that, so thank you for that.
Sorry.
The Leavitt stuff didn't happen until I got into the office.
Okay.
So I knew today, college football playoff. You know what? I don't wear this hoodie often. I'm going to wear my Arizona State college football playoff hoodie from last season.
Yep.
I got to watch them win the Big 12. It was awesome.
Yep, they won a playoff game. More than I could say.
Well, no, they didn't.
Oh, no,
they got the bye.
They
got the first round
should have
bye.
won a
They should have won a
playoff
playoff game. They
Bad
should have won a
flags.
playoff game.
Bad flags.
Thank you.
Bad
flags. Bad
Should have been a
flags.
pass interference at the end of the game. They didn't call it.
Yep.
Yep.
Bad refs.
So, just the irony.
Yep.
The irony. The one day. It's just my world is crumbling under me.
Sad day, bad day.
Alrighty, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, liking today's video. Need everybody who has ears and hands to do that, because guess what? Doesn't cost you a dime. It's also really easy to do. With all the talk about Arizona State, never thought we'd talk about Arizona State so much on a college football playoff ranking video. We're going to talk about Sam Leavitt, where he'll play in 2026. We got the news about him transferring, a couple of quotes from the athletic director at Arizona State, from the head coach himself, and then his top 10 transfer destinations. Will, are you ready?
I am fired up and ready.
Jack, are you ready? Alrighty. We got 2 readies. I'm ready. That makes it 3. We're getting started right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into College Football Now. My name is Joey Peterson. That is Will Ortner. And on today's show, we're going to be breaking down the big news that got reported yesterday of Sam Leavitt entering the transfer portal. Coming up, we're going to talk about the reports themselves. We're going to talk and hear from the athletic director at Arizona State, the head coach Kenny Dillingham himself, and then we're going to tell you the 10 schools to keep an eye out on that Sam Leavitt might be QB1 for next season. But of course, On3 was the one that broke the news. Arizona State star QB Sam Leavitt's return to the program in 2026 is doubtful. Leavitt's camp is actively shopping the talented passer at a high level. And then we got his brother, who's also his agent, screenshot this and made it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, well, I would say that if it's the same brother that I'm remembering, he is a former NFL player as well. So he's gone through and experienced some of the things that Leavitt is going through, maybe more so on a professional level because he wasn't able to get paid during that NIL era. But I will tell you this, if I'm Sam Leavitt, it isn't a bad idea to explore all possible options just in case something goes your way and you can jump on it, right? Like after this year, getting hurt, missing a lot of time, I think it's always smart for college players and young athletes to make sure that you cash in while you can. It's not necessarily a good thing to say, well, don't worry, I'll make that money back down the road, because you don't always make that money back down the road.
Yeah, his brother got a text from Pete Nakos, the one who broke it for On3, and then he says, why would you do that? That's not where things are right now. He's still deciding what he wants to do. So things feel up in the air right now. Obviously, the transfer portal won't open up till early January. We'll know officially by then, but it feels like, he might be 1 foot out of the door from Arizona State. And Graham Rossini, the athletic director for the Sun Devils, said this after his injury. He said, "We think Leavitt has got more in the tank here as a Sun Devil. He's got the opportunity to play at the next level. They've got to make the right decision for his family." And at that time, you knew just with where his talent level was, the market for really talented quarterbacks, that this was going to be something that was talked about. Kenny Dillingham probably knew it as well. And, he wants his program to be at their best, to be funded at their best. And if you don't believe him, this is what he had to say just a couple of weeks ago. He said, "I got a lot of confidence in our administration is pushing the chips to the table on winning football here. They're behind winning games, and I can say with a lot of confidence that they're going to support this place at a level that can win and compete in the Big 12. We find ourselves in a very weird spot of college football right now, Will, where these guys know they can make millions of dollars if they enter the portal, and schools like Arizona State, they might not be able to fund to keep them there."
Now, what's interesting about Arizona State is over on the West Coast where I'm from, there is kind of this belief that they are the sleeping giant. If someone can go into Tempe, like Coach Dillingham has so far, and he's been very vocal about trying to raise more and more money, it's a rich, affluent area. There is a belief that they are a sleeping giant. They can become one of the blue bloods, one of the top programs in that part of the country. I'll also say this about Leavitt. Leavitt comes from an area of Portland, West Linn, which is, well, a little bit more to do. It's a little bit more well off. So sometimes there is a move that these players will make, guys who come from a rougher area or don't come from as much money, where, hey, you have to go and get as much money possible from whatever school is offering that to you. Leavitt doesn't necessarily have to do that. Leavitt is going to go or stay at the place that gives him the best opportunity to become the best quarterback that he can be. If that he believes and his family believes is with Coach Dillingham, then he is going to go wherever Dillingham goes. If Dillingham stays at ASU, then he'll probably stay at ASU. If Dillingham goes to somewhere like, I don't know, maybe LSU, maybe he follows him to LSU. Or maybe there's a third option where he believes a different coaching staff can get the most out of him. Leavitt is going to go where is most beneficial for Sam Leavitt to be a quarterback in the National Football League.
I couldn't agree more. We'll await his decision, obviously, over the next month and a half. We got top 10 transfer portal destinations coming up in just a second. Before that, sound off for me. Where do you think Sam Leavitt will play in 2026? This season in 2025 has been an interesting one for him. Obviously, there's been ups, there's been downs. When he was playing, 60% completion percentage, 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but he has not played in the month of November so far, obviously, because of that foot surgery that he had to have that sidelined him for the rest of the season. So with the injury, with the money that he could get elsewhere, you can see why this decision might be made. I think the first school to look at is the Miami Hurricanes. We all know that they just paid Carson Beck a little bit over $4 million to come in and be their quarterback. That's a season after paying Cam Ward a lot of money to do the exact same. I feel like Mario Cristobal has set this precedent of going to get good quarterbacks in the portal. And if Sam Leavitt is available, we all know Miami has the money. They're going to throw it at him.
I'll tell you this right now, just be careful with this one, because for most of the recruiting for Leavitt, Mario Cristobal was the coach over at Oregon. That is right down the road from West Linn, maybe an hour and a half drive, 2 hours maximum. And Leavitt wasn't being really recruited by the local schools. He had a big issue with Oregon State. It's why he left Michigan State. Remember, Jonathan Smith was the coach at Oregon State. He then goes to Michigan State, where Leavitt was at, and he left that program because he didn't see eye to eye with Smith. Smith was bringing in his own guy, Aiden Childs, and Smith did not recruit Leavitt the way that he should have when he was over at Oregon State. Don't be surprised if Leavitt still has some sour grapes when it comes to Mario Cristobal and that staff over at Miami, because most of them were Duckies.
You know what can heal sour grapes, Will? $4 million a year. Indiana is another school to look at. Fernando Mendoza, most likely going to be a top 5 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. He made the move from Cal to Indiana, and I would expect them to be looking to have another guy to come in and make that move. Look, Coach Sig has proved that all he does is win, and all he does is make the most out of quarterbacks.
Right.
He's done it his entire career, and he's been doing it in Indiana so far. If I'm Sam Leavitt, I think the Hoosiers are a top place I'm looking at. I think Texas Tech is another school that we've got to talk about, not just because of the success that they're having this season, but Cody Campbell and their donors over there in Lubbock, they got that oil money.
Oh, yeah. So whatever Sam Leavitt could want, they're going to go and get it. Not just from a money standpoint, but from a player standpoint as well. If I'm Sam Leavitt, I want a bounty of good receivers around me.
Yep.
I want big, strong, Southern offensive linemen that are not afraid to move mountains for me, and I want a rushing attack that is going to make my life easier in the play-action pass. Texas Tech can do all of those things. That would be a fascinating spot, the Red Raiders, in my eyes, if I'm Sam Leavitt, not because of how much money they can give me, how much they can give the rest of my teammates so that I can have the ultimate team around me. Too often we get upset about super teams. If I'm a player, I want to play on a super team. Makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah, big sign at the front of the student section when they played BYU. I love oil money, drill, baby, drill. The Tennessee Volunteers are another team that's going to make this list, and for good reason. Joey Aguilar, he's going to be out of eligibility after this season. He will be gone to what is ever next. They've got a true freshman 5-star quarterback in Faison Brandon coming in, but Josh Heupel and true freshman quarterbacks rarely mix. They've got a couple of talented young guys on the roster right now with Jake Merklinger, who most people think is going to enter the transfer portal, and then George McIntyre, who is currently in his freshman year. So Josh Heupel is going to have to answer the question, do I want to give the reins over to a guy who's going to be in his second year, a true freshman who's going to be on campus for 8 months by the time the season rolls around, or am I going to go get another bridge, stopgap guy in the transfer portal like they did this season with Joey Aguilar? Could that be Sam Leavitt? I don't know if Sam Leavitt is their answer. He seems like he's going to be a little bit too expensive for the Tennessee Volunteers, but I think it's at least worth discussing, as is LSU. The Tigers find themselves on this list. Obviously, they're in the middle of trying to find out who is their next head coach. And odds this morning or yesterday morning jumped up greatly for Kenny Dillingham to be that next guy, Will.
Yeah, this is a fascinating development for me because, again, and I mentioned it earlier, Dillingham has been known for, hey, I'm an Arizona guy. I went to Arizona State. He went and hired most of his staff that have ties to the university. They are Sun Devils in some way, or they grew up in the area. It is interesting to me that there is smoke around Dillingham leaving for LSU. Now, if he does go to LSU, the very first call that I would make if I'm Kenny Dillingham is to Sam Leavitt, and it's, hey, come with me. How many times have we seen coaches in the college football ranks leave one spot for a better spot, and they bring their quarterback with them? If I'm Dillingham in this one, I know that I have a star quarterback. It's not a if or a but. He is a star. He's proven that he can take a team to the college football playoff. And again, if the reffing isn't horrible, they probably win a game against Texas. If I'm Dillingham and I decide to leave to LSU, Leavitt's coming with me.
Yeah, it was very interesting development. Really makes me think maybe something is brewing behind the scenes with Kenny Dillingham and LSU. The morning the odds shoot up, that's also the same day that Sam Leavitt is announced into the portal. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Another thing to keep an eye on is our awesome sponsor of today's show, our great friends. Oh, before we talk about them, thank you, Jack. Will Kenny Dillingham leave ASU? Let me know down below. Give me a yes or no in the comments section. Is he going to stay a Sun Devil for life, or will he find greener pastures? Of course, greener. Talk about a little bit more money. Speaking of that, you can win some money with our friends over at Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by our great friends. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right, it never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you could pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Marcel Reed's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns. Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. I felt that it was right to put the Auburn Tigers on this list, just given the fact that they're going to have a new head coach. They're going to have a lot of guys in their current recruiting class leave, a lot of guys that are currently on campus leave, and let's be real, they didn't really have any good quarterbacks on campus to begin with. Whoever that new guy is, whether it's John Sumrall, whether it's somebody different, maybe it's, Eli Drinkwitz, I don't know who it is, there's a good chance he wants to bring in a big fish quarterback.
If I am Sam Leavitt, there is no shot, and you know what, that I'm going to Auburn. They are going through a complete program upheaval, and I've got, 1 year, 2 years left to play quarterback in the NCAA football? No, there's no shot. If I'm him, I'm going to a place, again, kind of like Texas Tech, where either they can spend the money to bring in the exact players that I want, or what I would recommend to him is go to a spot that is a quarterback away. Leavitt is smart. His brother, who is his agent, is smart. They know how to put him in the best spot possible so that he can really show off what his talents are. No, I'm not going to Auburn.
Next up is North Carolina. And before you scoff, before you click off, let me remind you that they offered Quinn Ewers reportedly last year $6 million in the transfer portal for Quinn Ewers. So if you don't believe that there's not financial backing behind Bill Belichick, and maybe with how this season has gone, there's less financial backing than there was when he originally got there. They've got the money. They feel like they might need a quarterback. Obviously, things are not going like they were thought to go or supposed to go. Sam Leavitt could be the guy that kind of makes that change in North Carolina. Oregon is my third team on this list. I think there's a chance if Dante Moore leaves, goes to the National Football League, they could want to bring a guy in, but obviously you being our Pacific Northwest guy, Will, you know a little bit more about this than I do.
Yeah, the only way that Leavitt goes over there is if Dante Moore leaves, and right now it does kind of feel like that's closer to a 60-40, 65-35, that Dante Moore is going to stay in Eugene. Now, he started off the year very well, but as the season has gone on and he's lost some of his better weapons on the outside, you've obviously seen some of that production dip. I also wonder, too, with the Ducks, yes, Leavitt, I'm sure, would love to come back home. He could go back to our old gym that we used to go and work out at and, just be closer to family. I also think it's important to note, same as with Mario Cristobal, Oregon did not really recruit Sam Leavitt. They did not view him as a player that could be a big difference maker for the Ducks. And I think there's a little bit of that chip on his shoulder. Sam Leavitt has a confidence about him that he can make anywhere into a top-notch program, and you can see it with his play on the field. He's not afraid to try and fit balls into spots that most quarterbacks his age would not do. I don't know if I see him going to Oregon for that factor and for the factor of I don't know that Dante Moore's going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if Oregon's the most likely. I think it's definitely something that should be discussed given that it is his hometown. I think the Ole Miss Rebels are easily a team that's going to make this list. Look, if Lane Kiffin goes, who knows who they're going to hire? Who knows what that situation is going to be like? That's something they're going to have to figure out possibly over the next month or so. I can easily see that as a destination that Sam Leavitt ends up as. And we're going to round this list out with the Vanderbilt Commodores. Talk about coaches that may be leaving, may be staying. Regardless, Diego Pavia is not going to be a Commodore again next year. Even, I don't know, maybe he'll sue the NCAA for the 7th time. But Vanderbilt, sure, they're winning now, but their recruiting is not at the level that their play is on the field. They're going to need a quarterback next year, and Sam Leavitt could fit with a guy like Clark Lee.
Well, I'll tell you this. Leavitt is smart. Like, he is smart enough to get into Vanderbilt. That's always been their Achilles heel. Can you get the players not only to get into the athletic program because of their athletic skill, but get into the university? Leavitt would be someone who would fit that mold, and it does go and stand to reason of Vanderbilt, if they have the right QB in, they clearly have the coaching staff that will get the most out of the other players around him. I don't know how likely of a possibility this is, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just kind of have to go where you think is right. Maybe Leavitt thinks that Nashville's right for him.
Nashville's right for a lot of people. Awesome city, great state. Where should Sam Leavitt play in 2026? Not where will he, where should he? If you were in his shoes, where would you go? Let me know down below in that comment section, and appreciate you guys for hanging out with us today. Again, he's Will Ortner. My name's Joey Peterson. We're going to have you as covered as we ever have on anything college football right here at Chat Sports, so make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications anytime we can make a video. You'll be right there with us, and great. We'll see you next time. We got 400 people watching. Appreciate you guys for being here. We got Lord Buddy Bear, Jordan Clements, Zach Boone, Matthew, Bryce, Kimberly, Kevin, Roger. Speaking of Roger, he said Sig takes QBs and makes them really good in 1 year. He's not wrong.
He does.
Kevin saying of the teams above, either Carolina or Ole Miss if Kiffin stays. I feel like Sam Leavitt should go to Indiana. I feel like what you've seen with Curtis Rourke and Fernando Mendoza over the last couple of years, I feel like that's just a great place for a quarterback to go.
I don't disagree with it's a great place for a quarterback to go. I wonder if Indiana would want him. Remember, they have the other Mendoza over there, the younger brother right now. How many times have you gone on Twitter this year where Indiana's blowing a team out and they're all freaking out on Twitter going, how dare Indiana leave Mendoza in the game? And it's not that right Mendoza. It's the other one. So I wonder if Coach Cignetti looks at his quarterback room and he says, hey, you know what? I'm actually okay. I don't necessarily need a hired gun, a mercenary, a Sam Leavitt. And I just can't get away from this fact. You hadn't heard any rumors about Sam Leavitt being a potential portal candidate.
You had not at all.
Not at all, not a word, until you heard that Dillingham was potentially the #1 betting odds favorite for that LSU spot. Again, another coach that you had not heard rumors of him potentially leaving ASU. So that leads me to wonder, is ASU getting enough money in NIL? Are they getting the right donors out, putting the money forward? Because that's something that Dillingham has been on the front lines complaining about. I mean, shoot, he's been begging for an indoor facility out there at Tempe just because it's so hot that they have to practice at like 6 a.m. during the summer. I wonder if he's finally gotten to a point where that money isn't as deep of a well as we had previously thought. Now I'm willing to move on. And if he's willing to move on, there's no way that he leaves without calling Leavitt and saying, hey, you need to come with me.
Yeah, Arizona State has done phenomenal things under Kenny Dillingham over the past couple of years.
He's a good coach.
But to say that they care about football as much as LSU does would just be a straight-up lie. No offense to Jack Lotteray, our producer. And so if the Kenny Dillingham to LSU rumors are legit, if they are true, and Sam Leavitt does officially enter the transfer portal, I would expect him just to follow Kenny to LSU if that's where he's going to end up. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So we'll keep you updated on that situation. The college football playoff rankings will be happening once Michigan State and Kentucky wrap up. Approximately 6 minutes, probably more like 10 to 15. Here are our projections. Tulane, 25. James Madison at 24. Houston, 23. But then you got North Texas at 22. 22 to 25. You see 3 teams. They're in the group of 5. There's one spot for them. Right. Do you like North Texas the most out of those 3 teams?
Well, everyone knows I have an honorary degree from North Texas. I've been to multiple games this year. Not one, multiple games. And I even turned on ESPN Plus to see how they did against UAB. That one was turned off after the first quarter. Talk about a butt kicking. I think right now North Texas has the best chance to get into the playoff simply because James Madison's schedule is atrocious. The American is clearly a strong conference. Tulane has been very good this year. USF has been very good this year. Navy is clearly a very good team. And so I think strength of schedule is going to play a gigantic role in who is the top-ranked group of 5 team. Right now, North Texas seems to be on a clear path for that. If they did end up playing Tulane or Navy, another one-loss team, if one of those teams beat North Texas, I think that might allow them to jump above James Madison. What James Madison needs is clear and utter chaos to happen in the American. They need a lot of teams to lose that second game, and then that'll give them a better shot at getting in.
You find Missouri at number 21. Very convincing win for them over Mississippi State this past weekend. Then we go from 20 to 16. You'll find the Tennessee Volunteers, who I find it funny, 2 weeks ago, they were at number 25, and in the span of 14 days, they've had a bye week, they've played New Mexico State, and they've jumped up 5 spots. I'm not complaining. I'm just putting it out. Virginia at number 19, Michigan at 18, Texas, we got them projected to follow all the way down to 17, Georgia Tech at 16. I want to stick around at Texas for a second, Will,
Fair.
because still coming up on their schedule is the Fighting Texas A&M Aggies.
Yep.
If they end up beating them to round out this season, say they go undefeated, beat Texas A&M, final game of the year. Their 3 losses are to Ohio State, Georgia, and Florida on the road. Is there any shot that they make the college football playoff? Or are they done?
Yeah, but I'm doing the Lloyd Christmas, so you're saying there's a shot because the lady isn't married to her fiance yet. Yeah, there's a shot. Everyone else in the world has to lose, though, pretty much. Yes, Texas has a difficult schedule, but I think the loss to Florida is pretty damning right now. Also, the loss to Georgia, you weren't in that ball game. That was about as close as that ball game was going to look. And let's not also forget the fact that aside from a couple games here or there, Arch Manning hasn't looked all that great. Now, am I ever going to say that Texas is completely out of it, especially in a 12-team playoff? No, unless they get to that 4th loss, but they wouldn't have to win out. They'd have to win out pretty convincingly against Texas A&M, and then they'd need some losses from Oregon. They'd need some losses from Notre Dame, USC. They would need losses for Michigan. There would need to be a lot of help. Maybe a Utah, BYU stub their toe. They would need so much help to get back into the college football playoff that I would pretty much write them off as they're not going to get in.
Yeah, going into that Georgia game, they still controlled their own destiny. Their season was in their own hands. And now, unfortunately for the Texas Longhorns, it is not anymore. 15 through 11, I am projecting USC, Miami, Vanderbilt, Utah, BYU. The interesting case with Miami is their only hope and prayer is to get into the college football playoff as an at-large team because there is no shot that they win the ACC. Do you think there's a shot at Miami, or they find themselves in a similar point to Texas where they're just going to need a whole lot of teams to lose?
I think they need a whole lot of teams to lose. I also think it's important to note with Miami that if you are not going to win the ACC, you need losses in other conferences. I think right now when you look at the SEC and the Big Ten, they're going to get multiple bids, although I do believe that the Big Ten is probably going to get capped out at 3. That does help Miami. It's also been clear to me that the College Football Rankings Committee does not really like the ACC. They have been very vocal in how they've ranked the teams that, hey, the ACC is more than likely going to be a 1-bid league. You need a lot of help. What I do want to bring back your way, though, Joey, is do you think there's a chance that USC might jump Miami, maybe even possibly Vanderbilt, for the simple fact that they are playing Oregon in Eugene? This could be an opportunity that we've seen the AP do plenty of times. We've seen the coaches poll do plenty of times where, hey, you are about to have a ranked-on-ranked matchup. Let's get it to the point where it is as close or as high of ranking teams as possible. And it wouldn't hurt the committee. Rank USC just a tad higher than maybe you might normally have a team of their caliber at because of this big matchup. And if they win, guess what? Then they would earn that high ranking. If they lose, who cares? Kick them to the curb.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it would jump them over Vanderbilt and Miami because they have better wins than Vanderbilt and Miami. And especially if they win that Oregon game, that will then just add to that. Look, I was really impressed with their game against Iowa this weekend.
Yep. That's a game they lose normally.
They lose it normally, and I mean, they're down 2 scores, and Lincoln Riley came back. They won that football game. It looked like in the second half they out-physicaled the Iowa Hawkeyes, which nobody would ever have expected from a Lincoln Riley coached team against a team like Iowa. Vanderbilt finds himself in a very interesting spot as well because they've got 2 losses, and they're going to play Tennessee to end the week, or excuse me, to end out their season. But with all that's going on in the SEC right now, they could find themselves 10-2, and they could still miss the playoff.
How egregious would that be, by the way? Now, what I would find interesting with the Vanderbilt is how much of it is the eye test. Like, how can we sit here and say that Texas has an opportunity to get in with 3 wins. Now, I do know that they beat Vanderbilt, but punish Vanderbilt because they have 2 losses where Texas has 3. I don't see a world, even though Texas beat them, where Texas can leapfrog Vanderbilt. But if there is going to be an SEC team that gets hosed, it would be the Commodores, just because they don't have the respect that they deserve this year because of what their history has been.
Exactly. And they've also had the benefit of playing teams early in the year that everybody thought was going to be good, and then they have fallen off. Virginia Tech, they beat them by 24. People didn't think Brent Pry was going to be fired halfway through this season. South Carolina, they beat them by 24. South Carolina is horrific.
Right.
They beat, LSU at a good time when people still had hope in LSU. And then anytime they've played a team that, has any kind of sort of a pulse, like in Alabama, they lost by 16. They lose to Texas. And that game ended up a lot closer than it actually was. The score indicated it a little bit more tight. But Vanderbilt, it'll be interesting to watch them play out the rest of their season. To the top 10, this is where it gets spicy with the loss of Alabama this past week. And Notre Dame at 10, Alabama at 9, Oklahoma jumps up from 11 to 8, Oregon 7, Texas Tech 6. Do you feel like this is kind of how things are going to shake out?
I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama actually went to 10.
Me
Notre
neither.
Dame stays at 9, and simply for the fact that Notre Dame's 2 losses are at the very beginning of the year. They lost to the number 3 team in the country by a point because their holder dropped the ball. If their holder doesn't drop the ball, that game's going to overtime. And your other loss is to a Miami team, which, again, within 1 score, it was a neutral site type of game, if I remember correctly. Might have been in Miami, but I digress. It was a close game, and the way Notre Dame has been playing since, they struggled on defense early on in the year. They have clearly fixed a lot of those woes. Marcus Freeman just knows how to coach winners. He's a great leader of men. And so I wouldn't be surprised if, hey, Alabama, you lost to Oklahoma at home. I think that's important to note. And also, your 2 losses, specifically the Florida State loss, looks a lot worse than maybe necessarily the Notre Dame losses.
100%. Yep. Couldn't agree more. I'm really excited about number 6, Texas Tech. I cannot wait to see what they're able to do in the playoff. Joey McGuire's squad has a chance to create some chaos. Ole Miss at number 5, Georgia up to number 4, and then I believe the top 3 will remain unchanged. Texas A&M number 3, Indiana number 2, Ohio State number 1, and like we've talked about already, the Aggies found themselves on the ropes. They were able to pull it out in College Station against a very, very bad South Carolina team. But hey, all the credit due to them for what they were able to do in that second half. We asked you earlier, but we got about 800 more people than we did last time we asked this question. Who do you think is the best team in college football? Is it Ohio State? Is it Indiana? Or is it Texas A&M? I feel like Ohio State probably has the most talent. I think Indiana has the best win, but I think Texas A&M has played the hardest schedule, so you could really make a case for all 3 of these teams.
Yeah, I would still say, and I'm going to continue to beat this point until it is, dead and gone. Indiana played down to an opponent and almost lost. They didn't, but they almost did. Texas A&M played down to an opponent, almost lost. They didn't, but they almost did. Probably should have, right? Ohio State, they haven't played down to anybody this year. Now, I do think that your big rivalry game against Michigan is going to be fascinating because I do think you are finally going to see the best version of this Ohio State team. And I know that Michigan tried to find a way to gack away that game against Northwestern over at Wrigley, but they didn't. And you always know, for whatever reason, man, Sharon Moore just seems to have the number of Ryan Day. Is there a world where that's where we finally see Ohio State play down to an opponent? And the difference between Ohio State playing down to a Michigan and Indiana playing down to Penn State and Texas A&M playing down to South Carolina, if Ohio State plays down to Michigan, Michigan can actually beat them.
100%. And this one's going to be in the big house. Really exciting.
It's real fun.
The game is going to be a blast, as it always is. Make sure to like the video. Hit that thumbs up button. We talked ratios earlier, and it was a bad ratio, but it's gotten even worse as the view count has jumped up. We're sitting at 861 people, just south of 1,000, yet we have 69 nice likes. But as much as that number is fun, I need that number to get a little bit higher, okay? I need that to be at least, I might sound crazy for saying this, I need that number to be at 200. That means I need 125 people who have not yet to hit that like button. It's free. Do I really need to say anything else?
Helps
It's
us
easy
out.
to do. I've heard you burn a couple calories even, scrolling down, clicking. I think you burn like 1/10 of a calorie. So you could click it on and off for 10 times, burn yourself a calorie. Well, then you have to do it one extra time to get that like in there. Anyway, I digress. Hit that thumbs up button. Like today's video for all 854 people watching, as we got 40 seconds left of Michigan State, Kentucky. And once that game wraps up, we're going to get you the playoff rankings as they come. Again, he's Will Ortner. I'm Joey Peterson. You're watching Chat Sports. We got you covered all season long and into the offseason. It's going to be crazy. Transfer portal, coaching carousels. We've got it all right here. And again, make sure you're liking the video. And make sure to also get down in that comment section. Shout out your favorite team for all the people who are new and are in here. We got a lot of people to talk about. We got a lot of teams to talk about. And we've got Roger saying statistically IU is crushing it, though.
Yeah.
They played 2 top 5 defenses this year, still have a number 1 scoring offense, number 2 scoring defense. Indiana, I do feel like they're still not getting the respect that they probably deserve.
Well, and again, it's the same thing that we talked about with Vanderbilt, but to a slightly lesser degree because Indiana was so good last year and they've been so good this year. It's this. Historically, they don't get a lot of love because they're viewed as a basketball school. They have not been good at football. What's the stat? Signetti's the first coach in Indiana history to have back-to-back 10-win seasons. He was like the first coach since I think they invented the typewriter to have a victory over at Penn State against the Nittany Lions at the Nittany Lions home stadium. So the more that I look at this Indiana team, yeah, they're probably not getting exactly the love that they deserved, but I also think that that shows you just how good this Ohio State team is. Not to be the guy who says this because I know everybody says it. Ohio State might have the best 2 players in college football, and they have the best offensive player. They probably have the best defensive player as well.
I could not agree more. We are seconds away, and if you're ready for the new rankings, get down there in the comments section and type those me's. I see Kennedy Peterson saying Tennessee, the only team that matters. Amen. Roger is typing Oregon. Logan saying Indiana beat Oregon. Jeremy Wilson's ready for the rankings.
Yes,
Gage
sir.
is ready. August is ready. Abraham's ready. Lord Buddy Bear said there's enough people watching that we should be over 500 likes. Lord Buddy Bear, I could not agree with you more. We got Derek, Josh, Brandon, Lloyd, the Blue Kingdom. Shout out to my boy, the Blue Kingdom.
Fired up.
We got Jeff, Ross, Phoenix, August. Everybody's here. We're about to have a lot of fun. We're about to bring you the college football playoff rankings. Jack, are we ready for our reset? Or are we going to wait a little bit till they get up?
Well, you got to make sure that Izzo has his moment in the sun. Got to shine. Speaking of moment in the sun, my Central Washington Wildcats, D2 playoffs, they start this week.
Oh,
Bring it on, Western Colorado. Get ready to learn Wildcat football.
I wonder where they'll be in tonight's rankings. Probably just outside the top 25.
You know what? Yeah, they're not going to be a top 5 FBS team, but I'll tell you right now, they're a top 5 D2 team.
There we go.
Number 5, let's go Wildcats. Let's go Coach Fisk.
That's all that matters. What else matters is having so many people that are so great, such diehard college football fans with us down below. I see Jet, Taylor, Logan, Lori, Phoenix, August, Roger. I'm getting the thumbs up from producer Jack. That means it's time for a little bit of a reset, and we'll see you again. 5 seconds. It is time for week 3 of the college football playoff rankings. Welcome into the show. He's Will Ortner. My name is Joey Peterson. You're watching College Football Now. We cannot wait to get into tonight's rankings, and we cannot wait for the college football playoff to start very, very soon. If you've been checked out for the last year or so, first off, what are you doing? Second off, welcome back. Third off, there's been some changes. Second year in the 12-team expanded playoff. Seeds 1 through 4 are not going to the highest conference champs like they did last year. Instead, they'll go to the 4 highest-ranked teams. Seeds 5 through 8, they'll get the home round in the first round, and one group of 5 team is guaranteed a spot. Coming up on today's show, breaking down the bracket for the 12-team college football playoff. We're going to get you the rankings from 25 to 1 as they come in. And if this is y'all's first time here, make sure you subscribe. Get down in the comment section. We are so happy to be with you all. Will, any surprises you're expecting to see tonight?
I think Texas falls a lot further than most people think. I think they're going to be right on the doorstep of 20, if not in the 20s.
Okay.
They do not deserve to be in the teens, in my opinion. You have 3 losses, one of them a really bad loss to Florida, and a loss that continues to get worse and worse for you. And you lost to Georgia in a game where it looked closer than it was, and the score doesn't look all that close. In my opinion, Texas is and should be completely done.
Yeah, I feel like they are as well. Going to be interesting if they manage to pull off the win at the end of their season against Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. That rivalry is so fun. It's back. Of course, they got to go play Arkansas at home this weekend before A&M. But if they win out, who knows, man? It's Texas. The committee loves Texas, so we'll see what happens with their season. Our projected rankings look as follows. Tulane, number 25. James Madison, 24. North Texas at 22. We talked about it earlier. A little bit of a logjam for the group of 5 teams from 22 to 25. Cannot wait to see how it all rounds out for those 3 squads.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, as someone who has been adopted into the Mean Green family, an honorary graduate, I've been honestly just so impressed with how they play, especially Drew Mestemaker, their quarterback.
Yep.
He is a guy that unfortunately probably isn't going to be at North Texas for that long because he's been so stellar this season. They play up-tempo offense. They have a great freshman running back who's been absolutely balling out the last couple of weeks. Offensively, they just play a fun brand of football that you want to watch. Not only am I rooting for them because we have multiple coworkers here at Chat Sports that are actual graduates from that university, but because they are a fun team to watch and they would be fun in the college football playoff. They might not win, but they would give us at least a fun shootout.
Reminder, last week, USF was the highest ranked group of 5 team. They lost this last week at Navy. They're out of it. It's going to be down to those 3, which is fun because last year it seemed like Boise State was pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered. 20 through 16, my projections are Tennessee, Virginia, Michigan, Texas, and Georgia Tech. Michigan, though, with what they've got left on their schedule, playing Ohio State, obviously, final week of the season, still feels like their destiny might still be in their own hands, so we'll see how the Wolverines are able to wrap up their season. USC at 15, Miami at 14, Vandy, Utah, BYU at 13, 12, and 11. Interesting to see what's going to happen with Vanderbilt, just given the fact that they don't necessarily have any massive win this season because their big wins came early and those teams they beat ended up not having as good of seasons as everybody kind of thought they were going to.
It can be the frustrating thing of college football. You never know what a program is going to be year in and year out. And I will say this, though, for Vanderbilt, you put a schedule out in front of them and they continue to win. They look almost like this year's version of last year's Indiana Hoosiers. What I do think is fascinating, and I know these are projected rankings, I do think there's a chance that USC is higher than Miami, even potentially higher than Vanderbilt, just because they are going into Autzen to play the Oregon Ducks. If they want to drum up a little bit more media buzz around a big game in the Big Ten, in a game that is a playoff eliminator for USC and potentially for Oregon, the way the committee's been ranking them so far, a 10-2 Oregon in my eyes should get in. I don't know if they get in everyone's eyes. I wouldn't be shocked if the committee kind of juiced that game up a little bit and put them a little bit higher.
100%. We've got college football playoff rankings coming at you very, very soon. Here's our projected top 10: Notre Dame, Alabama, Oklahoma, Oregon, Texas Tech. I wouldn't be surprised necessarily if Alabama is at 10 instead of 9, but in the top 5 we go Ole Miss, Georgia, A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State. I think that top 4 is going to be just as you see it. I think there's a chance Texas Tech is at 5 instead of Ole Miss. Obviously, we're going to see how the committee, how they feel in just a couple of seconds. While we're waiting on them, make sure, let me know down below if you love college football and if you've got a team. Give them a shout out in our comment section. We'll be shouting out the people who are shouting out their squads down below. We got Ty Man the Buckeye as always, rocking with OSU. Mike Nintendo Master as always, rocking with the Fighting Illini. Jeff Bennett, says Boomer Sooner. Brandon Walker thinks Utah needs to be a little bit higher.
Ooh,
We got a
Brandon
BYU
Walker.
Cougar in here with Gage. Roger, Michigan. Darius Corbin giving a roll. I'm not going to say the rest of that because I hate Alabama. August is rocking with Utah. WMP rocking with the Canes. We got a ton of college football fans down in here. So excited to see every single one of you. Will, we already talked about this briefly with that number 5 spot. Do you think Ole Miss jumps Texas Tech and goes to 5? Because last week it was Ole Miss at 7, Texas Tech at 6. Who do you think takes up that 5th spot now that Alabama's dropped out of the top 5?
To me, I think Texas Tech should probably stay at that top 5 spot. I think they've done enough. I think they are deeply talented. Where I actually find the interesting point in the top 5 is, could we see a shakeup in the top 3 with Georgia's victory over Texas? How well they looked, the history behind the program and Kirby Smart, could they jump themselves into that 3rd spot, especially after A&M really struggled with South Carolina?
It's there's no way, right? We are looking like we might have college football playoff rankings, but we're going to wait to make sure those are confirmed. In the meantime, appreciate Jabriel, appreciate Lord Buddy Bear, GA Sports Team, Wild Bill is rocking with Georgia. I do think those were them
right
as well. Wow, ESPN a little bit behind, but of course, we're going to get you guys updated in just a second. Phoenix saying, want to beat Alabama? Just watch the Sooners' very impressive win from Oklahoma this past weekend. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I think the most impressive thing about that win was forcing Ty Simpson and Oklahoma or in Alabama to do something they usually don't do, and that's turn the football over.
Correct.
That is 100% how they're able to win that game. Alabama turned that football over 3 times.
Yeah, well, they had no business. I mean, you just go and look at the stats. Alabama should have dominated Oklahoma, but it's the turnovers that continued to kill them. What I also think is important to note is, as good as Oklahoma has played this year, if John Mateer is going to go back to what he was at the beginning of the year, what he was starting to look like against Alabama, you might see an Oklahoma team that gets really, really dangerous with the skills of that defense.
Yeah, we've gone back-to-back games for Oklahoma where their opponents have outgained them in yards, in first downs, but unfortunately for their opponents, they did not outgain them in the most important thing, which, of course, was the final score.
Right.
OU, 2 back-to-back really impressive wins on the road in Neyland Stadium, and then, of course, getting that win on the road against the Alabama Crimson Tide. 2 really, really hard environments to go in and win against, and they were able to do it. All righty, into the top 15 we go. We apologize for being a little bit late. ESPN. It was a crazy little bit of thing that we got here. But, hey, we got you covered. USC is at number 15. They're up 2 spots. Vanderbilt at number 14. Miami has jumped into number 13. So not only did USC not jump Miami, but they're actually 2 spots behind the Hurricanes now.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I need to walk back my Miami take. They are clearly a team that the committee values a little bit more than I might personally, or I might have thought, if they're going to jump Vanderbilt, the team that's just continued to win.
Yeah, we'll see where kind of they finish out their season. Obviously, they weren't able to finish strong last year. They're not finishing strong so far, but they got 2 more contests left. And we'll see if Mario Cristobal is going to be able to keep on stacking those wins and keep on trying to get his team to have the strongest bid to get into the college football playoff, because they're so deep in the ACC rankings that pretty much getting in, being an ACC championship, being the ACC champion, is out the window. 12 and 11, you find the 2 common Big 12 opponents. You got Utah at 12. You got the BYU Cougars at 11. Obviously, BYU won the head-to-head against Utah, and BYU's only loss this season is on the road against Texas Tech, which looked like a closer game than it actually was. Texas Tech just ended up dominating that one. Speaking of dominating, Alabama just got dominated by OU. They find themselves at number 10, kind of where both of us felt like we'd see them. They dropped 6 spots losing to OU.
Yeah, they're a team that should still obviously be in the playoff and are clearly going to be a team that's in the playoff discussion. But you do have to pay a little bit for a loss to Oklahoma, a team that was behind you. And, in fact, to me, it's the way that you lost. For the first time, basically since the Florida State game, it felt like your quarterback wasn't up to par and wasn't up to snuff like he needed to be.
Yeah, just turned the football over a lot and some inopportune times as well. Alabama, if you know anything about them, they'll be able to right the ship most likely. keep a watch on going into Jordan-Hare Stadium, Iron Bowl at the end of the year for them. Notre Dame remains unchanged. They stay at that number 9 spot. 2 really impressive wins back-to-back weeks in 2 games that were supposed to be close. But then Marcus Freeman did what Marcus Freeman has been doing there, just dominating opponents that they have more talent than. They just beat Pitt. College game day was there. It was supposed to be a big, fun ordeal. And Notre Dame just kind of made the Pitt Panthers look like the Pitt Panthers we've been used to seeing.
I also feel like the Pitt Panthers get a little bit of the love because of the conference that they play in. I've never been a real believer in what's going on over at Pitt.
Yeah, Pat Narduzzi, he's had some good years there, obviously.
They're fine.
They are what they are.
They're fine.
They're good. They're fine.
They're
Oklahoma, a team that's been a little bit better than fine recently, they jump up 3 spots from 11. They find themselves at number 8, and they also find themselves 100% in control of their destiny, like we talked about earlier. When you looked at the end of their schedule at the beginning of the year, they had Mizzou and LSU to round things out. Those games looked a lot harder than they're looking right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I am happy that they didn't jump my Oregon Duckies, who are in 7th, because it's clear that the Ducks are the team that the committee views as the worst of the one-loss teams.
Yep.
But Oklahoma has 2 losses, one to a Texas team that is barely ranked right now. That's not good enough in my eyes for them to be able to jump Oregon just because they beat Alabama on the road.
Yeah, the Oregon Ducks do find themselves at 7. Big matchup this weekend against USC. The Big Ten has kind of lacked some flash. They've lacked a lot of really big games so far this season, only a handful of them. But this is one of them, going to have massive implications for both USC and Oregon. Number 6 is Ole Miss. They move up 1 spot. So that means the question we were asking before, who's going to be number 5? Most likely it's going to be Texas Tech. Ole Miss, of course, they beat Florida this last weekend. They go into a bye week, and then they'll wrap up with the Egg Bowl. Interesting to see what's going to happen with the Rebels as they go down the stretch. Number 5, Texas Tech, Joey McGuire's squad, like we talked about. I cannot wait to see the chaos that will ensue, that they will bring with them into the college football playoff. I feel like they've got a chance to make things really interesting.
Right. I think right now, so far, the community has got the top 10 right. I think everyone is in the spot they should be. Oregon should be the last of the one-loss teams, and Texas Tech should have been ahead of Ole Miss. I don't know that Texas Tech is good enough to win the whole thing, but I'll tell you right now, they are a dangerous team and a team that I could definitely see getting to at least the semis.
Yeah, they're not a team that can win the whole thing, I don't think either, but they are a team that can beat anybody. Another team who's been beating pretty much everybody so far this season and hasn't really been close. They're playing their best football right now. That is the Georgia Bulldogs. They are at number 4. Their SEC friends are right above them. It looks like that's almost going to be a lock for the SEC championship. Going to be a ton of fun right there. You'll find Texas A&M, who almost got upset this past weekend, at number 3. 3-1, it didn't change. It hasn't changed, and it probably won't change unless something spicy happens with Ohio State at the end of the year. You got Texas A&M at number 3. You got Indiana at number 2 and number 1 for the last 2 weeks and pretty much for the entirety of this season. You will find the Ohio State Buckeyes undefeated. They'll play Purdue this weekend. They'll wrap things up, as they always do, against Michigan in the game. Lost a lot of those games recently, and this time they've got to go to the Big House and play Sharon Moore.
Yeah. What I will say when I look at the rankings, there are some fascinating matchups, but what I do find the most fascinating, and I know not everyone is going to agree with me on this, is how they ranked the group of 5 teams, and the only team being ranked in the group of 5 is Tulane.
Yep.
And what we were going through in the projection and what I've seen through a lot of the experts, it has been, hey, North Texas is one of the top teams, or if it's not North Texas, then it's James Madison. Not many spots have had Tulane as the number 1 team. I mean, Tulane might be not even hosting that American Conference Championship. It would be North Texas, at least so far through the tiebreakers that I have seen. I am interested to see, and I'm fascinated as to why Tulane has jumped up into that 24 spot and has been the top group of 5 team.
Yeah, John Summerall having the green wave, playing really good football right now. Here's 25-21. If you missed it earlier, Arizona State, Tulane, Houston, Missouri, and the Fighting Illini of Illinois. I'm really, really excited about some of these matchups that we've got. I think Tulane is a team that can maybe make things interesting.
Right.
We're going to see one day a group of 5 team get in there and really start messing some things up.
Yep.
Is that this year? I don't know. They'll have a shot against Texas Tech as it stands currently, Oklahoma, Notre Dame at the 8-9 matchup playing in Oklahoma. That one is like a battle of the team from the 80s and 90s. That one's going to be really fun to watch. Oregon, Alabama really intrigues me, as does Ole Miss and Miami. I mean, we'd have some really fun first-round matchups as it sits right now.
You want to talk about a rivalry matchup? DeBoer and Dan Lanning.
Yes.
DeBoer has gotten the better of Dan Lanning in every matchup that they've had as head coaches. Remember, DeBoer was the head coach over at UW. Oregon had not beat UW until DeBoer left and Jed Fish came in. I would actually be fascinated to see that matchup down in Autzen. The hate, the vitriol that the Alabama players and coaching staff would get, because a lot of that coaching staff was a part of those UW teams with Michael Penix and the rest of that crew that knocked off some very good Bo Nix-led Oregon teams.
Yeah, and I remember going into that game in the regular season, even though it was at Washington, everybody was high on the Ducks.
Yep.
Going into the Big Ten championship game, Pac-12 championship game, everybody was high on the Ducks, and both times seemed like Kalen DeBoer and Michael Penix. They did the unthinkable. They knocked off Oregon, and so that would be a very, very fun week one or round one matchup, I should say. Of course, the home game would go to Oklahoma. Texas Tech, man, a home playoff game in Lubbock would be a lot of fun to see. Oregon, Autzen Stadium, great place. Ole Miss, probably the least exciting of atmospheres, but I would be there for Ole Miss, Miami. The question is the ultimatum true? And if Ole Miss does make it into the playoff, will Lane Kiffin be their head coach?
I don't see why Lane Kiffin would leave Ole Miss. It's the perfect spot for him. He gets to mess around, be Lane Kiffin, while at the same time getting to enjoy that Southern lifestyle that he clearly has really adopted since coming over and joining Ole Miss's staff and being the head coach over there. I don't get what he's doing. I don't get why he's doing it. But there definitely seems to be a lot more smoke to the fire of Kiffin leaving this year than there has been in previous years. In the previous years, there were a couple times that I wrote him off to go into different SEC spots.
Yeah, it seems like right now the leader is probably Florida, if I had to make a guess. But who knows where things shake out. If you missed it yesterday, reportedly from On3, the athletic director at Ole Miss told Lane Kiffin, hey, look, we need an answer, and we need it by the Egg Bowl. Well, the Egg Bowl is going to be happening in just 11 days. So we'll see where things stand in 11 days from now. Who knows? Maybe his representation just leaked that so he can get a little bit more money. It's a big game, as it always is, especially with Jimmy Sexton being his agent. Jimmy Sexton's about to get a payday, no matter if he stays or he goes. Grade the rankings down below, A, B, C, D, or F. August, giving it an A-. Tie-Man giving them an A. I'm pretty high on these rankings. 25 through 21 confuses me a little bit.
A lot.
With all the not-ranked teams jumping up. Like, we didn't even think it was real.
Right.
It flashed on the screen. We all kind of shared a look, and we were like,
that can't be
first
right.
off, they didn't count down. They just flashed all five of them. Second off, where the hell did all these teams come from? But they are correct. They are true. What you're seeing is what they are. But I do feel like these rankings are some of the best so far this season. And from where we were this time last year, it feels like the committee's got a little bit more of a feel on things.
Yeah, I'd say this. I think that if you look at the playoff rankings, knocked it out of the park. I think, and completely agree with 90% of not only who the teams are that were in, but where they were placed. Where I have a little bit of a disagreement would be right actually here in this 21 through 25 spots. I'm not saying that Illinois isn't a good enough team to be ranked where they were, but I would have figured, I would have expected the committee to put in a few more teams, specifically North Texas and James Madison, because when you look at ESPN right now, they are the teams with the highest odds to be that group of 5 team in the playoff. Not downplaying what Tulane is, but to me, Tulane was the clear bronze of those 3 teams, and the committee seems to disagree with me. So I'm fascinated to see, as more and more information comes out, what they are viewing so highly of Tulane. It must be their wins that they have compared to the wins that James Madison and North Texas have with that victory over Memphis.
If you missed it, here are the top 25 rankings. If this is y'all's first time checking in with us, we are glad you're here. Arizona State in at 25, Tulane at 24, Houston, Missouri, Illinois at 23, 22, and 21. We get into the top 20 with the Tennessee Volunteers, who their last 2 weeks, they've had a bye. They beat New Mexico State, but in the committee's eye, apparently that's good enough to jump them up 5 spots. I'm not complaining. Go Vols. Virginia at number 19. The Hoos just continue to defy odds. They continue to win games. Michigan at 18. Texas at 17. Georgia Tech at 16. USC is at 15. Thought maybe after that win against Iowa they could get bumped up a little bit. Vanderbilt at 14. Miami 13. BYU 12. Utah 12. BYU 11, and the top 10 is as followed: Alabama, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, Georgia, A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State. I feel pretty certain that the top 4 seeds aren't really going to change throughout the rest of this year. Who knows, though? Georgia Tech, something spicy could happen. Here's how they would shake out right now. Which matchup, Will, of all of these first-round ones, are you most excited for?
I'm extremely biased. It's that Oregon-Alabama matchup right there. Not just because whoever the winner is, and I would think it would be my Duckies, would get a rematch with Indiana, but you're getting a rivalry game that we haven't seen in a couple of years. No, not Oregon and Alabama sillies. You're seeing Dan Lanning go up against Kalen DeBoer, and Lanning has not beat Kalen DeBoer in his time as being a head coach. DeBoer beat him all 3 times that they faced off against each other the 2 years that DeBoer was over at UW. I would love to see if Lanning would be able to get his comeuppance back, but also I would love to see Autzen rocking. It's a hidden gem. Most people do not give it enough credit for being as loud as it can be. I know that the Duck faithful would be extra loud because they would treat it like they were playing UW again.
Yeah, that would be rocking. It'd be exciting. I think it's probably my most excited first-round matchup as well. I think Oklahoma-Notre Dame could be a lot of fun. I think when I look to the second round, the matchup I would be most excited about would be Notre Dame, possibly Ohio State. Rematch of last year's national championship would be a ton of fun. Grade the rankings A, B, C, D, or F down below. We had some A's. We had some B's. What's up, Moggs? Give me a shout out down below. Ruben gave him an A. Incoa B-, Mike B+, Abraham A, Simplistic Grace B. Kevin, he finds a problem with it. He's grading it a C. August, of course, giving it an A-. Mike has changed his grade on it. It was a B+ 45 seconds ago. Now it's a B-.
Well, we convinced him. We convinced him that it wasn't as good.
I guess so. 305 Honcho's giving it a B. Anthony with a B+. Make sure y'all get your grades down below, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Easy. It's free.
Simple.
And we are 27 subscribers away from 422,200. We got 375 people in the chat. Make sure you guys subscribe if you are new. Let's get that sub number to dance. Let's get that ticker to move, and let's get that thing shot up. Look, we are covering college football more right now than this company ever has. We got correspondents covering the LSU coaching search. We got people covering Penn State, Florida, Arkansas. Anything you need, we'll have it right here. We got Sam Leavitt, transfer portal destinations going out tomorrow. Anything you want, anything you got a desire for college football, we have you right here at Chat Sports. So subscribe. It's been a fun night.
It's been a great night. I had a great time, even though I disagree with a couple of the rankings.
We are through week 3 of the college football playoff rankings. We've got another one coming up next Tuesday. We've got one the Tuesday after that, and then the following Sunday will be the final one. So we got 3 more installments of it, 2 more on Tuesday nights. Final ones will be on Sunday at noon, which will be the Sundays after the college football season has officially ended, after conference championship weekend? Yes, after conference championship weekend. Yes.
I believe you are correct.
That would be ridiculous if it wasn't.
Well, remember, the conference champions, they do have to matter, the championships, and there was a lot of anger about what happens if we lose. Well, what happens if you just win and then you don't have to deal with it?
Exactly. Conference championship weekend. Those will be on Friday and Sunday, December 7th. That will be when the final rankings are. We appreciate you guys for being here. Again, he's Will Ortner. I'm Joey Peterson. Make sure you guys join us again next week. We're going to be live, and make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications so when we do go live, y'all can be the first ones here. For Will, for producer Jack, my name's Joey Peterson. You guys have a great rest of your night.